Kashmir is a name that often brings images of great beauty to mind, It is a land of high mountains with snow-covered peaks that seem to touch the sky. Below these mountains lies a wide green valley shaped like a bowl. Through this valley, the Jhelum River flows slowly like a silver ribbon. The land is dotted with clear lakes that reflect the surrounding peaks, creating pictures of perfect calm. In spring, the fields and orchards burst with color tulips, mustard flowers, blossoming apple trees, and almond trees. This natural beauty has inspired poets and travelers, earning Kashmir the name Paradise on Earth. The people of Kashmir are as diverse as its landscape. They live in bustling cities like Srinagar and quiet villages tucked away in mountain hollows. Their faces tell stories of different ancestries. Their traditions have lived side by side for generations, weaving a complex and rich cultural fabric. Life in the valley is deeply connected to the seasons and the land itself. Artisans in bustling workshops create famous crafts known around the world. These skills have been passed down from one generation to the next, forming a vital part of the local economy and cultural identity. But Kashmir is more than just a beautiful place with a rich culture. Its location has made it important for centuries. It sits at a crossroads between South Asia and Central Asia, a strategic point where empires and nations have met. This geography has brought traders, scholars, and soldiers to its doorstep. It has made Kashmir a place of exchange, but also a place of conflict. Understanding this land and its people requires looking beyond the postcard images. It means seeing the mountains not just as beautiful scenery, but also as formidable borders that have shaped its history and the lives of those who call it home. To understand Kashmir today, we must travel back in time. We will begin in ancient times, exploring the earliest kingdoms: Buddhism, Hinduism. Our timeline will then move through the medieval period. We will witness the arrival of Islam and the rise of Sufi saints whose teachings of love and tolerance blended with existing local traditions. We will then walk through the eras of different rulers: the Mughals, who built beautiful gardens, the Afghans and Sikhs, whose reigns brought different kinds of change, and finally, the Dogra dynasty. Each period left its mark on the administration, the land, and the social structure of Kashmir, adding new layers to its complex identity. The journey will then bring us to the critical moments of the 20th century. We will look at the end of British colonial rule in India and the partition of the subcontinent in 1947. This event changed the map of the region forever and placed Kashmir at the center of a new and lasting dispute. Finally, our tour through time will arrive in the recent past and the present day. We will cover the political turmoil, the security situation, the economic challenges, and the ways in which daily life has been affected. But it will also highlight the resilience of the Kashmiri people. We will see how culture continues to thrive through music, art, and festivals. We will hear stories from ordinary people, teachers, shopkeepers, and students who navigate their lives with hope and determination. This is a story of survival and endurance, as much as it is a story of conflict. The story of Kashmir begins with its geography. The heart of the region is the Vale of Kashmir, a large, oval-shaped valley stretching about 135 kilometers long and 32 kilometers wide. To the southwest stands the Pir Panjal Range. To the northeast, the mighty Himalayas rise, creating a formidable barrier that isolates Kashmir from the Tibetan Plateau. These mountains are not just silent observers, they are active participants in the life of the valley. They dictate the weather. In winter, they are covered in a thick blanket of snow, and the high passes that connect Kashmir to the outside world become blocked. This isolation has profoundly shaped the character of its people and culture, fostering a sense of uniqueness and self-reliance. It experiences 4 clear seasons: a gentle spring, a warm summer, a crisp autumn famous for its colors, and a cold, snowy winter. The valley floor is a flat plain, ideal for growing rice, which is the staple food of the people. As the land rises towards the mountains, it forms rolling foothills known as karawas. These elevated plateaus are perfect for growing saffron, almonds, and walnuts. Further up, the slopes are covered with dense forests. Above the tree line, there are vast alpine meadows, called margs, which turn into lush pastures. Through the center of the Kashmir Valley flows the Jhelum River. The river is the valley's main artery, its lifeblood. The valley is also blessed with numerous freshwater lakes. The Dal Lake in Srinagar is the most famous, a sprawling body of water that is a world in itself. It is home to a community that lives on houseboats and cultivates floating gardens, a unique form of agriculture. Archaeological discoveries give us glimpses of its earliest inhabitants. Excavations at sites like Burzahom have unearthed evidence of a Neolithic culture dating back to around 3000 BCE. These early Kashmiris built underground pit dwellings to protect themselves from the harsh winters. Archaeologists have discovered tools made of polished stone and animal bone. These suggest that the early inhabitants were skilled hunters and fishers. The recorded history of Kashmir begins to take shape with the arrival of powerful ideas. During the 3rd century BCE, the great Mauryan emperor Ashoka extended his empire to include the valley. Ashoka was a convert to Buddhism and is credited with founding Srinagar and introducing Buddhism to Kashmir. The Kushan Emperor Kanishka is said to have convened the 4th Buddhist Council in Kashmir to codify the doctrines of Mahayana Buddhism. Alongside Buddhism, Hindu traditions had deep, ancient roots. Kashmir Shaivism emerged, flourishing between the 8th and 12th centuries. They taught Shiva was not a distant god, but present within every individual and the universe. Kashmir's strategic location made it a natural crossroads for trade and culture in the ancient world. It was a key transit point on a branch of the legendary Silk Road. Caravans carrying silk, spices, would pass through. In return, goods from Kashmir like high-quality wool, saffron, found their way to distant lands. The wealth from trade allowed Kashmiri kings to be great patrons of art and architecture. They built magnificent stone temples, like the Martand Sun Temple. You can see this fusion in the art and architecture, a blend of the classical Indian Gupta style with Gandharan art, creating a unique and cosmopolitan culture. Islam did not arrive in the valley with a sword. Instead, it was carried by traders, travelers, and Sufi missionaries from Persia and Central Asia. A unique architectural style emerged, not the typical stone, but timber and brick structures, masterpieces of this indigenous style. The most influential of these was Sheikh Nuruddin Nurani, Nund Rishi. The Rishi shrines became places of pilgrimage for people of all faiths. This produced a syncretic culture known as Kashmiriyat. It stands for harmony and mutual respect across communities. In 1586, the powerful Mughal Emperor Akbar conquered Kashmir. For the Mughals, the stunning beauty of Kashmir were, well, a revelation. They saw it as their personal paradise. The world-renowned Pashmina shawls became a highly prized luxury item in the Mughal court. This imperial patronage led to a golden age for Kashmiri artisans. However, Mughal rule was not entirely benign. Taxes on land and produce were high, and the local population often felt the burden of supporting a distant empire. In 1753, the valley was conquered by the Afghan Durrani Empire. This began one of the darkest periods in Kashmir's history. Afghan rule is remembered for brutality and extortion. The economy that had flourished under the Mughals collapsed. In 1819, Kashmiri nobles secretly invited Maharaja Ranjit Singh. They drove the Afghans out of Kashmir. Sikh policies were harsh on the Muslim majority. The Jamia Masjid in Srinagar was closed for public prayers for over 2 decades. In 1846, the British defeated the Sikh Empire in the First Anglo-Sikh War. As part of the war settlement, the British took control of Kashmir. Instead, in a controversial and fateful decision, they decided to sell it. to Gulab Singh. This transaction became known as the Treaty of Amritsar. The price was 7.5 million Nanak-Shahi rupees. In effect, the British sold the entire Kashmir Valley and its people to a new ruler. It created the new princely state of Jammu and Kashmir, a patchwork of diverse regions held together by autocratic rule. The Dogra administration was notoriously harsh. This system of economic exploitation was compounded by a practice called begar, or forced labor. The year 1947 marked a monumental shift. The British moved to partition their former colony into two new nations, India and Pakistan. Jammu and Kashmir was a complex exception, a Hindu ruler, a Muslim-majority populace, borders with both new dominions. Caught between these two options, the Maharaja began to explore a third possibility: independence, a Switzerland of the East. To buy himself time, the Maharaja proposed a standstill agreement with both India and Pakistan. Pakistan signed the agreement. India did not. On October 22nd, thousands of Pashtun tribesmen from Pakistan's northwest frontier province swept into Kashmir. The town of Baramulla suffered a devastating attack. The news of the fall of Baramulla created a state of complete panic in the capital. With his kingdom crumbling around him, Maharaja Hari Singh made a desperate appeal, requesting immediate military assistance from the government of India. On October 26, 1947, he signed the Instrument of Accession. The document formally joined Jammu and Kashmir to the Dominion of India. In his letter, Mountbatten added a significant, fateful comment. The question of accession should be settled by reference to the people. With paperwork complete, India launched a massive airlift of troops into Srinagar, just in time. The arrival of the Indian Army marked the beginning of the first full-scale war between India and Pakistan. In January 1948, India lodged a complaint with the UN Security Council. The Kashmir dispute was now internationalized. The ceasefire came into effect on January 1st, 1949. The line where the opposing armies stood became the de facto border dividing the state. Families were torn apart by the new ceasefire line. A brother might find himself on the Indian side, while his sister was on the Pakistani side, unable to meet for decades. The promised plebiscite never came. Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah, his persistent demands for greater autonomy strained ties with New Delhi. In 1953, he was dismissed as Prime Minister and imprisoned for years, creating deep mistrust. The turning point came in the 1987 State Assembly elections. The Muslim United Front drew large, enthusiastic crowds and hope for change. But the declared victory for the National Conference Congress was widely seen as rigged. Disillusioned and angry, hundreds of them began crossing the line of control into Pakistan-administered Kashmir. There, they received arms training. They returned to the Kashmir Valley as armed militants, determined to fight for Azadi. The simmering political discontent of decades had finally boiled over into a full-blown armed insurgency. Massive public demonstrations in support of independence became a common sight in Srinagar and other towns. This period witnessed a tragic exodus, faced with targeted killings. The vast majority of the Pandit community fled the valley in 1990. They left behind their homes, orchards, and a way of life that had existed for centuries, becoming refugees in their own country. Faced with a full-blown insurgency, the Indian government responded with massive force, deploying tens of thousands of army soldiers. Cordon and search operations, known as crackdowns, became a routine part of life, a source of constant fear and humiliation for the civilian population. As the conflict wore on, allegations of widespread human rights abuses became common, including enforced disappearances. The beautiful valley, once a paradise for tourists, became one of the most militarized zones in the world. Months after Lahore in 1999, the countries fought a short but intense conflict in Kargil. Kargil brought the nations to the brink of nuclear conflict. A bus service began between Srinagar and Muzaffarabad. Divided families reunited after generations. A brief but hopeful window of peace. The window slammed shut after the 2008 Mumbai attacks. The peace process collapsed. In 2019, the Indian government revoked Article 370, removing Jammu and Kashmir's special semi-autonomous status. The change was imposed alongside a complete communication blackout and a massive security lockdown. Despite decades of conflict and hardship, the people of Kashmir have shown remarkable resilience. Cultural life found ways to survive and even flourish. A new generation of entrepreneurs has started innovative businesses. Young people are using social media to showcase their culture and connect with the outside world on their own terms. One possible path lies in meaningful and sustained dialogue. Dialogue that includes the people of Kashmir themselves. Understanding this place requires looking at all the layers: the beauty, the philosophy, the art, the politics, and the pain, without rushing to judgment or taking sides. For in their stories of resilience and hope lies the best, and perhaps only, path to a peaceful future.